Chapter 1049, Your name will definitely be remembered in the future. Sai Cheng was an expert from the Bright Moon sect. Jiang Hao could not understand him. He was from the east. Why had Sai Cheng come to find him? When he had journeyed to the Bright Moon sect, Sai Cheng had not seen his real identity. Jiang Hao had been disguised under Hong Yue's power. The two of them technically did not know each other. Sai Cheng had suddenly visited and asked for him by name. Fortunately, the Heaven's Extinction Jiu poison helped him stay calm. Senior, greetings. Jiang Hao bowed respectfully. You're a Golden Core cultivator? I'm also at the Golden Core realm. Why are you calling me senior? Sai Cheng asked with a smile. He kept staring at Jiang Hao. This person's body was strange. A strong aura entangled him. What a strange person. Judging from the other party's appearance, there was something wrong with this person's cultivation. He did not probe further for details. If he were to pry rashly, it would be easy for him to get involved in whatever this was. Senior, you must be joking, Jiang Hao said respectfully. Some of them were pretending to have lower cultivation, but those that were extraordinary could be told apart from just a glance. Sai Cheng was an extraordinary person. Even though he was in the Golden Core realm, the feeling of the vast galaxy he emanated was hard to ignore. The distortion caused by the lake had retreated when the other party arrived. His strength was unimaginable. Sai Cheng did not mind. Instead, he looked at the lake. What is this place? A place that was triggered by the fallen immortal clan. The words passage to heaven were written inside on a stone tablet, Jiang Hao said truthfully. This was an expert from an immortal sect. The other party would understand the danger of this place. If he was willing to help, it would be great. Heavenly Extreme Dream Pearl, said Sai Cheng. It is no wonder I feel awake and dreaming at the same time. It might be the effect of that pearl. As he spoke, he took out the dragon egg. This dragon egg is for the Heavenly Extreme Dream Pearl? Jiang Hao was surprised to see the dragon egg brimming with vitality. This should be the one from the Human Emperor's Palace. It had the aura of the Human Emperor's Palace. Why are you here, senior? Jiang Hao asked. A woman asked me to bring this here. Is this for you? Sai Cheng asked. Jiang Hao thought for a moment and said, maybe. He was not sure. He did not know what kind of dragon egg Gui had given him. Besides, he felt a little suspicious. However, Gui had said that she had met two seniors at the Human Emperor's Palace. Since Sai Cheng was here, Senior Wn Xiu should be here as well. Maybe. Sai Cheng smiled. That should be it. Do you know the function of a dragon egg? Jiang Hao shook his head. He really did not know. He wanted the dragon egg to exchange it for something else. You're a very strange person. Sai Cheng handed the dragon egg to him. I don't understand the things involved. But it feels good. You are also not as annoying as I thought you would be. Thank you for your praise, senior, Jiang Hao said respectfully. He accepted the dragon egg. The moment he received the dragon egg, the light from it brightened a lot. Perhaps it was because his body was stained with Xiao Li's aura. They were both true dragons, so they would naturally be close to each other. Sai Cheng frowned. He found it strange. No matter who the dragon egg had met till now, it had rejected them. However, it seemed it was different with Jiang Hao. Do you know the situation inside? He asked as he looked at the lake. The people from the major sects have already gone in. There is a heaven stone inside, but the lake has expanded greatly, Jiang Hao said. It's already very impressive to be able to enter it, but it's useless just to enter it and gain nothing. Sai Cheng looked at the lake. Looks like the situation here is very serious. But why do I feel like someone is affecting the stability of the lake? Jiang Hao knew that there were people around, but he did not notice them. Sai Cheng looked into the distance and waved his hand. The stars moved. It seemed that a certain area had moved. Something seemed to disappear from the lake. All right. It's solved for now, said Sai Cheng and smiled at Jiang Hao. Do you want to stay here? This place is no longer safe. The sect asked me to wait for further orders, Jiang Hao said. Sai Cheng smiled. All right. It's useless to run anyway. Why don't we stay put? As he spoke, he took out a pearl and threw it into the sky. If this place explodes, this pearl will be triggered. Of course, it won't be able to save you, but it will give you some time before you die. At least, you'll know how you die. Maybe you will need to find a new world to survive it, said Sai Chang. Jiang Hao lowered his head and thanked him. A little time was good enough. Sometimes, people in similar situations did not even get to understand how they died. He wondered how powerful whatever in the lake was. Sai Cheng was very powerful, but it seemed he would still be unable to fight it if the heavenly extreme dream pearl exploded. He might not be able to escape this calamity either. Sai Cheng did not say anything else and turned to leave. After taking 2 steps, he turned back to look at Jiang Hao. Jiang Hao was puzzled. I know your name, but I want to hear it from you, Sai Cheng said. Im Jiang Hao of the Heavenly Note sect. Jiang Hao bowed. All right. I'll remember you. Sai Cheng took a sip of wine and smiled. If you don't die here, your name will be remembered in the future. I, Sai Cheng, have never been wrong. Jiang Hao lowered his head and did not say anything. Sai Cheng walked away. My name will be remembered in the future. Jiang Hao looked up at the sky and sighed. That was not what he wanted. He just wanted to live longer. The famous ones either ended up dead or subdued. The human emperor, the ancestral dragon, the saint bandits, Jiyu Changsheng, and even Jiyu Jin had suffered similar fates. Even the most ferocious creatures in the world were the same. So, having his name remembered far and wide was not something he wanted. Even if no one knew him, he could survive longer. Then, he took out the dragon egg. It was a white dragon egg with a tinge of green. Its aura was boundless. If he kept it with him, it would definitely give him many benefits. Unfortunately, Jiang Hao could not raise it himself. He wanted to borrow the Shenyuan sword in exchange for the egg. Without delay, he informed senior brother Zheng that he was going into seclusion and left immediately. He wanted to visit the Black Heaven sect. He hoped that he could enter the sect safely. If he left a ring behind, he could return immediately. On the other side, Shenyuan he looked at the stone boundary and found that there were cracks in it. It meant senior brother Shenyuan might be coming out of the stone boundary soon. Did he pass the test? She could feel that senior brother's aura had become stronger. The aura had the power to shake the earth. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1050, I have a dragon egg and want to borrow the Shenyuan sword for the Black Heaven sect. It was very important that Shenyuan Tai passed the test. Although Shenyuan Tai had become the Grand Earth Emperor, he had not been accepted by the Shenyuan sword yet. Once he was accepted by the sword, his aura would become even stronger. If he was given enough time, he would definitely grow to great heights. In the end, he surpassed everyone in the Black Heaven sect. Judging from his current aura, he was no longer in the middle stage of the soul ascension realm. The trail had been of great benefit to his cultivation. Of course, there was also the identity of the Great Earth Emperor. At that moment, the crack began to extend, and the Emperor's aura rose. The sword intent of the Shenyuan sword also spilled out. That arrogant and fearless aura forced Shenyuan he to retreat. Several days later, there was a loud sound. Then, a sword light soared into the sky, and living creatures gathered on the ground. It was as if they were welcoming their emperor. Then, the sword's intent spread out. The dragon's roar was deafening. In the middle of all kinds of strange phenomena, a figure walked out of the golden light with a sword in hand. The aura on his body rose at a terrifying speed. He had been at the early stage of the soul ascension realm, but he had risen to the middle stage and then the late stage of the soul ascension realm in an instant. Finally, his cultivation began to refine. In just a few years, due to the sword's power and the fortune of the human Earth Emperor, he had advanced in one fell swoop. If it was normal cultivation, it would have taken a very long time. When the figure appeared, the entire Black Heaven sect saw it. Some of the elders had tears in their eyes. The Shenyuan clan had waited for so many years for this. They could finally hope. Shenyuan Tai walked out. I hope I didn't disappoint you, he said with a smile as he looked at the elders and fellow disciples around him. As a Grand Earth Emperor, he understood many things. There were many trials he had gone through in order to be able to wield the Shenyuan sword. It just did not depend on talent, identity, or understanding. Those did help him, but he needed the fortitude and willpower that matched the human emperor to be able to pick up the Shenyuan sword. His vision and his aptitude had to be exemplary. There were some things that did not come naturally to him, but his horizons were broad enough. He still had the wisdom and willpower that others did not. He was still himself. He was not just the Grand Earth Emperor nor the human emperor. He had his own path he needed to follow. If he could not walk his own path, he would never be worthy of holding the title of the Grand Earth Emperor. Otherwise, how would he be able to usher in a new era for the human race? After talking with some seniors and elders, Shenyuan Tai returned to his house. He sat in the courtyard and quietly looked at the Shenyuan sword in his hand. A Grand Earth Emperor needs a true dragon to fuel his potential, but where would I find a true dragon in this world? This was what the dragon soul in the Shenyuan sword had told him during the trial. The dragon soul could not be considered a complete true dragon and could not help him much. A true dragon, Shenyuan Tai shook his head. He had no choice. Even if he had to take a detour and travel far and wide, he would not give up. If he found any clues about a true dragon, he would follow it to the ends of the earth. At night, Shenyuan he visited him. There's no news of a true dragon. I heard that there was an ancestral dragon's heart overseas and a dragon cave appeared recently, but a true dragon has never appeared, Shenyuan he said. The moment she knew that Shenyuan Tai needed a true dragon, she had gone on to find clues. The closest they even got to a dragon was when Shenyuan Tai became a Grand Earth Emperor, and there was a dragon's roar in the sky. At that time, dragon roars had shaken the sky. Perhaps there might be true dragons somewhere in the world. However, she had found no news of them. A true dragon could only be encountered by chance. It cannot be sought after. It's fine. I can still reach the top without the true dragon, Shenyuan Tai said calmly. But if there is a true dragon, it will be much faster. Shenyuan he frowned and said, "Where can we get a clue of the true dragon?" "Here." Suddenly, a voice came from the sky. The two of them were shocked and immediately looked up into the sky. Their auras surged. However, no matter how much aura they released, the figure just continued on and landed in front of them. Their powers were not on the same level. Experts were extremely powerful. They did not hesitate to send a message to the others for help. But it was of no use. They could not contact anyone. "Are you trying to get help?" The person who had landed in front of them was a scholar with a folding fan in his hands. "Don't bother. As long as I am here, no one can approach this area." Smiling San Sheng, Shenyuan Tai did not panic. He just stood up slowly and looked at the person in front of him. "You know me?" Smiling San Sheng was surprised. The Thousand Faces treasure fan used to be in the Black Heaven sect. "Of course, I recognize you," Shenyuan Tai said. Shenyuan he was cautious. If it was someone else, it would have been better. Smiling San Sheng was an extremely dangerous person. No one knew what he would do. He was reckless and unpredictable. "Did you come to the Black Heaven sect to find me?" Shenyuan Tai asked. "Yes. I came looking for you." Jiang Hao smiled. He had finally arrived at the Black Heaven sect. He had actually followed some people and sneaked in. He had already set up the yin-yang bracelet and activated the heavenly cauldron. "Are you here with good intentions or bad?" Shenyuan Tai asked. He stood there with a bearing that ordinary cultivators did not have. "The Grand Earth Emperor, you are indeed extraordinary." Jiang Hao smiled. Then, he looked at the Shenyuan sword. "I want to borrow that." The Shenyuan sword. Shenyuan Tai raised the sword in his hand. "There are many who want it, but it's not an ordinary treasure." "I don't want it. I just want to borrow it," Jiang Hao said. "I'll pay you." "Oh." Shenyuan Tai was curious. "What will you pay for it?" If this person could hold or even touch the sword, he would lend it to him. He was not the only one in the world who could use the Shenyuan sword. There were others powerful enough to have won the sword's favor. He did not say anything. Jiang Hao smiled. I thought you would want a dragon. You have news of the true dragon? Shen Yuan he could not quite believe it. No. Jiang Hao shook his head. No. Shen Yuan he felt like she had been played. Then, why act like you do? Why are you playing with us? Jiang Hao laughed. I guess it's fun to trick the Grand Earth Emperor once in a while. I don't have news about true dragons, but I do have this. I wonder if you would be interested. Jiang Hao took out the dragon egg. The aura of a true dragon surged, and the phantom of a true dragon in the Shen Yuan sword was faintly discernible. It seemed to have sensed its own kind. The dragon's soul was nourished. Is this better than having news about true dragons? Asked Jiang Hao as he looked at Shen Yuan he. She was already shocked beyond words. For countless years, no one had ever heard of dragons anywhere, let alone a real dragon egg. It was unbelievable. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1051. Witnessing the growth of the Grand Earth Emperor. A dragon egg was something out of a myth. No one knew if it existed. The dragon clan disappeared many years ago. Although there were some rumors, no one had actually seen a real dragon. Even if there was, it only turned out to be a remnant soul. There had been no real true dragon in the world. Jiang Hao placed the dragon egg in front of Shen Yuan Tai. He was shocked and surprised in equal measure. He even suspected that it was just an illusion. However, the Shen Yuan sword's reaction was not a lie, nor was the sensation he, as the Grand Earth Emperor, got from it. A genuine dragon egg. Are you both all right? Jiang Hao asked them. Only then did Shen Yuan Tai snap back to reality. Even though he thought he was wiser and calmer than before, he could not help but tremble in awe when facing the dragon egg. This was what he needed. However, he could not just take it. I need the dragon egg, but I can also do without it, said Shen Yuan Tai. You, on the other hand, will have to be able to touch the sword to wield it. If you can't, then it's better to forget about this deal. To be able to hold the Shen Yuan sword was enough to show the other party's power. The acceptance of the Shen Yuan sword had nothing to do with strength and morality. The Shen Yuan sword had a mind of its own and accepted who it wanted. I have to be able to hold it. Jiang Hao smiled and shook his head. How can I hold such a sacred and majestic sword? But, Jiang Hao looked at the frowning Shen Yuan Tai. I can make it follow me. Shen Yuan he felt like this person was spouting nonsense. Shen Yuan Tai was silent for a long time before he stabbed his sword into the ground. Sure. If you can make the sword follow you, I don't have a problem with it. Shen Yuan Tai had spent a long time with the sword. It was not some ordinary weapon. It had the power of many clans. The reason the human emperor could hold that title was because he was chosen by many clans to represent and fight for them. Jiang Hao tossed the dragon egg to them. Shen Yuan Tai and Shen Yuan he were shocked. They knew it was a dragon egg, so it would not be so fragile. But still, what if it broke into pieces? This person was tossing it out so casually. Fortunately, Shen Yuan Tai caught the dragon egg. The dragon egg did not reject him. It glowed with a faint light. When he got the egg, Shen Yuan Tai felt that the power of the Grand Earth Emperor was getting stronger. As expected, the Grand Earth Emperor needed a dragon. He would have enough power to chase after the realm that was beyond his reach. Even Shen Yuan he could feel that her senior brother looked as though he had been reborn. He was even stronger than before. However, this egg was to be exchanged for the Shen Yuan sword. Shen Yuan he hoped that smiling San Sheng could make the sword follow him because then Shen Yuan Tai could have the egg. But she also did not want this strange person to take away the divine sword at the same time. She was worried about what would happen if this person could not make the Shen Yuan sword follow him. If that happened, senior brother Shen Yuan Tai would never accept the dragon egg. He had his own path to follow, and he would never take advantage of someone or accept something for free, no matter how much it would benefit him. Jiang Hao looked at the Shen Yuan sword and realized that the dragon's soul had long since fallen silent. However, the Shen Yuan sword still had its own instincts. He didn't know if the sword could understand human language, but the aura was powerful. Jiang Hao walked up to the Shenyuan sword and whispered, "I'll show you something powerful, but you'll have to come with me for that." Shenyuan Tai just watched. At that moment, Jiang Hao reached out and took out a cup from somewhere. Then, he poured some water in front of the Shenyuan sword. The moment it sensed the water, a murderous intent erupted from the Shenyuan sword. It shook the surroundings. Jiang Hao felt that the heavenly cauldron was about to shatter. He laughed. "I know where it is. Do you want to come with me?" The sword moved as if it was about to set off at any moment. "All right. Please follow me." Jiang Hao left the ground and soared into the sky. "The dragon egg is yours, but you have to promise that I'll be allowed to leave the Black Heaven sect with the sword." "No problem," Shenyuan Tai said without hesitation. Then, the heavenly cauldron closed, and the yin-yang bracelet retracted onto his wrist. At that moment, Jiang Hao realized that he was surrounded and would be dead in an instant. However, he was smiling San Sheng at the moment. So, he felt no fear. At that moment, a powerful aura rose. "Let him go," said Shenyuan Tai firmly. The people surrounding Jiang Hao were a little hesitant. They could see the Shenyuan sword beside him. If he left, the Shenyuan sword would definitely follow him out of the sect. That would be a huge loss for the Black Heaven sect. However, after a moment of hesitation, the people withdrew. As the Grand Earth Emperor, he had the authority to give orders. But he was also responsible for every decision he made. No one could replace the Grand Earth Emperor, and he had to bear the responsibility for his mistakes. The mistake he made now was less dangerous than the ones he might make in the future. The Black Heaven sect unequivocally supported the choice of the Grand Earth Emperor. Smiling San Sheng laughed loudly and left with the Shenyuan sword. Some people were unwilling to let him go, but they held back. "Seniors and elder, please come over to my house for a chat," said Shenyuan Tai. They followed Shenyuan Tai to his place. They wanted to know if he had let smiling San Sheng leave with the sword. When they arrived at Shenyuan Tai's house, they were stunned. Shenyuan Tai was surrounded by layers upon layers of powerful aura. It was the true dragon's aura. There was a dragon egg in his hand. The elders gasped. Shenyuan Tai did not care about that at the moment. What he cared about was the bowl of water. What kind of water could make the Shenyuan sword react like that? If someone had tried to stop smiling San Sheng, the Shenyuan sword would have cut them down. It's a pity that the dragon's soul fell silent. Otherwise, it could answer my questions. Shenyuan Tai sighed. Shenyuan Tai did not think too much about it. He just wanted to ask what was happening. At the same time, there was a crack. The aura inside the dragon egg began to surge out and resonate with him. The true dragon was about to hatch. It was him it was looking for. It seemed to have waited a very, very long time. The elders of the Black Heaven sect were so excited that they sealed the entire sect. It was to make sure nothing went wrong. Jiang Hao rode his flying sword. The Shenyuan sword followed beside him. It would be too flashy, so he wanted to seal it. Unfortunately, the universe in a palm ability was useless against the sword. It was just like the Earth Extreme Silent Pearl that was about to break through its seal. It was impossible to seal it at all. Not everything could be sealed. Even the weakest 9 nether was very difficult to seal. After trying for a long time, he still could not find a way to seal the Shenyuan sword. After hesitating for a moment, he activated the secret technique. This was a secret technique he had obtained from the human emperor's palace. As expected, the Shenyuan sword reacted. He used the universe in a palm again. He succeeded. The Shenyuan sword was sealed in the purple pearl. He could break the seal at any time. We can finally enter the lake. Hopefully, the gathering will be held soon. He needed to know if the immortal sects could help, and how soon they could act. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1052, Primordial Spirit Realm cultivators are fearless. The yellow river of 9 winds flowed at an incredible speed. The white froth washed over the riverbank. The sound of the water disturbed the quiet peace of the surroundings. It was like a melodious melody that made everyone daydream. At that moment, a man holding a gourd and wine pot was walking on the river. He looked drunk and seemed as though he would fall into the river at any moment. He took a big swig of the wine and exclaimed at how good it was. He staggered and fell into the river. With a splash, he was submerged in the water. Under the water, Sai Cheng descended rapidly and passed through sand and mud. He arrived in front of a palace. There was a vortex here, and he was instantly sucked into it. He fell heavily to the ground. After a long time, he stood up and patted his clothes clean. There was not a single drop of water on him. There was no sand in the river. It was as if he had just fallen on hard ground and gotten up without a scrape. "You're back." Wen Xiu walked out. Bai Zhu and Qiao Yi were also there. It was so far away. It's quite tiring to go back and forth. Sai Cheng sat down. There isn't any good wine nearby either. Good wine? Bai Zhu thought for a moment and said, I remember that there is a master brewer in Ninesong's town. The wine is not bad. Really? Sai Cheng's eyes lit up. Shall we go take a look then? That is. We haven't finished exploring this place yet, said Bai Zhu awkwardly. She was not leaving yet. She wanted to leave when the issue was resolved. He might die outside the palace. If immortal sects could swoop in and fix things, she would stay put. What are you afraid of? Wan Xiu asked curiously. I'm afraid of dying. Bai Zhu thought. It was the end of April, and Jiyu Changsheng would appear to talk to her in the next 2 days. Are you afraid of the danger out there? Sai Cheng was a little surprised. You have a senior at the primordial spirit realm following you. It's normal for dangers to exist in the world. Are you still afraid despite having someone in the primordial spirit realm to protect you? A cultivation of the primordial spirit realm is very extraordinary, Wan Xiu added. Qiao Yi lowered her head. She felt ashamed. She felt weak and useless. That's true. There is someone at the primordial spirit realm beside me, so I don't need to be afraid of many things, said Bai Zhu and nodded. That's right. We've traveled the cultivation world for so long, but we've rarely seen a primordial spirit realm cultivator, Sai Cheng said. Let's go buy some wine. They walked side by side and left the human emperor's palace. Senior, did you give the dragon egg to the person? Bai Zhu asked. I did, said Sai Cheng, who nodded. He seems like a decent person. I like him. It's a pity he was only at the peak of the golden core realm. We could have been friends. Bai Zhu was speechless. How's the situation over there? Bai Zhu asked. I heard that something big happened over there recently. Yeah, the situation isn't optimistic. People might end up dead. We might end up dead while drinking our wine, Sai Cheng said bluntly. Bai Zhu was speechless. She felt that it was better to return to the human emperor's palace. There was no need for her to wander into danger. Unfortunately, she was still young and had no choice but to be embroiled in things she could not control. The southern region was not like it used to be. Everyone was friendly then. Her life had been easier. It's so dangerous outside. Did you two find anything, seniors? Bai Zhu asked. Of course, we did, said Sai Cheng. I already left something behind. Now, it's up to Wan Xiu. Me? Wan Xiu smiled. I've left some means as well, but they only address the symptoms, not the root cause. They serve merely as assistance. Who knows what the situation over there is exactly, he added. Bai Zhu was silent. After talking with Jiyu Changsheng, she would find a way to report to Jing that everything was in order. The rest would depend on the immortal sects. Beyond that, she was helpless. At the Astronomical Academy, Yang Yuezhi arrived in the backyard. Little girl, why are you here again? Jing Dajiang asked while holding the teapot. I have something to tell you, senior. Yang Yuezhi bowed. It had been much more difficult for her to reach here. If you have something to say, look for the sect master. Why do you always look for us old geezers? Jing Dajiang said unhappily. Why did she have to come with very bad news every time? It was always a life-and-death situation with her. I don't know where the sect master is, Yang Yuezhi said. So, why do you need us again? Jing Daijiang asked. The situation isn't good. It's said that the heavenly extreme dream pearl has been activated and is expanding in the south. It's not suppressed right now, Yang Yuezhi said. The Bright Moon sect has intervened. The other immortal sects can't interfere. Someone has already gone over there, but it won't be enough. Jing Dajiang drank his tea. If it really doesn't work out, we can prepare for a big funeral. Yang Yuezhi was speechless. She was stunned for a moment before she appeared in front of the backyard's threshold. It was as if he had never stepped in. Everything felt like a dream. Yang Yuezhi shook her head and left. She had already done what could. She was not sure what would happen after this. However, she did not expect that the Bright Moon sect had already interfered. They acted fast. After Jiang Hao sealed the Shenyuan sword, he returned to the edge of the lake. When he saw the lake again, he realized it had expanded to the foot of the mountain. It would not be long before the entire mountain disappeared into the lake. There was no life around the lake. Even birds and insects avoided going near it. He thought that all the cultivators would disappear unless they found higher ground. The lake grew higher and higher. No one dared to come close. Jiang Hao found Zheng Shijiu and the others. They were all still waiting for orders, but they were terrified that the lake would expand and drown them. It was expanding quicker than before. Jiang Hao sighed. Previously, it was because of the help of the fallen immortal clan that the lake was expanding. It seemed that even without their influence, the lake was capable of expanding rapidly. The heavenly extreme dream pearl could erupt at any time. Is everyone out? Jiang Hao asked senior brother Zheng. I haven't seen anyone come out from the moment they went in, he said. Jiang Hao lowered his head. It seemed that the people who went in were doomed. Even with the lantern bearer leading the way, they might not be able to come out alive. He could enter and exit safely because he did not cross over to a new world. Otherwise, no one knew what would happen. The new world was definitely different from the old world. He had no idea what was going on inside. Who would know anything about the dream world? After a moment of silence, Jiang Hao finally decided. It was not good to stay here for long. He needed to prevent the lake from erupting and covering the entire place. He had to increase the distance between him and the lake. In addition, he would leave behind a mountain sea seal in the surrounding area. The seal had the power to suppress. He hoped it would help even if it was for a short time. 3 days later, the gathering was held. Jiang Hao heaved a sigh of relief. It was finally here. It was time for him to enter the stone tablet. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1053, The Power of the Royal Family's Number 1 Genius. This gathering was held sooner than the last one. Jiang Hao had been waiting. If it had not happened fast enough, he would have contacted Senior Dan Yuan to start a gathering on his behalf. The heavenly extreme dream pearl was right before him. He could not delay any longer. He had to go in even if it was for himself and no one else. He did not want to die. The sudden appearance of the heavenly extreme dream pearl was related to the surroundings somehow. He had nowhere to hide. He only hoped that the immortal sects would make a move. If there was no other way, he would try to escape. In the end, he had no choice but to enter the corpse realm. He just did not know if that place could avoid this new world the heavenly extreme dream pearl was trying to create. The new world was like a net that could seep through anywhere. This gathering was extremely important to him. When he entered the gathering, Senior Dan Yuan was nowhere to be found. He wondered what he was busy with. Fortunately, everyone else was there. Gui spoke first. I have news. Those 2 seniors said they left something behind and can attack at any time. But they said they could only assist. If no one takes action from the inside, their preparations won't do much. She then looked at the others. They planned to repair the human emperor's palace. The 2 of them used great divine powers to draw upon the power of the stars. It seems like they want to make the human emperor's palace more powerful. According to what they said, if we want to suppress the heavenly extreme dream pearl, we'll need the human emperor's palace, she said. What about you guys? The people from the immortal sect have already gone over, but it's too late. However, I heard that the people of the Bright Moon sect are already involved. I don't know all the details, though. I heard that there are Clear Sky School's people in the south, and they might also make a move soon. I'm not sure about the exact situation. It's said that an expert just happened to go to the sage's heart to become an immortal. Someone has already informed him, Liu said. Star thought for a moment and said, I don't have any more information on my side, but I can be sure that the end of all things will not interfere. They have spied on the location of the ancient land in the deep sea. Right now, everyone is looking for someone who disappeared long ago. Perhaps it won't be long before that person appears. The people of the Great Thousand God sect have headed to the south. It is said that they have two objectives. One is to find a lantern bearer, and the other is to find a location for the battlefield. Maybe we could get them to cooperate. Other than the end of all things, nobody else wanted the world to end and everyone to die. Fortunately, there were not many organizations like the end of all things, or else, it would be very troublesome. It was said that there were many such forces in the past, but as time passed, they all joined the end of all things. Jiang Hao heaved a sigh of relief. The people from the immortal sects were going to make a move. The Bright Moon sect was already there. They were probably the two people Gui had mentioned. Sai Cheng was an expert from the Bright Moon sect. It was a good thing that he was there. At the very least, they could help delay things. There was a huge gap in strength between just the two of them and the others combined. The world needed people in the immortal sects. If there was any danger, the immortal sects could always be counted on. The demonic sects were not very big on sacrifice and helping others. It was precisely because of this that Jiang Hao was willing to give the dragon egg to Shenyuan Tai just to borrow the Shenyuan sword. Whether it was the dragon egg or the Shenyuan sword, they were both necessary for Shenyuan Tai's growth. He would face everything to save this land. What he lacked was strength. Coincidentally, Jiang Hao could help. So, he did. One person did not have to covet everything. Powerful things should be distributed to help everyone. It was good to know the immortal sects were willing to help, but the situation did not look good. If someone from the end of all things intervened, no one would be a match for Sai Cheng and Wn Xiu. How are you doing, friend Jing? Asked Gui. The others also looked at him. He was waiting for Gui to ask. Jiang Hao was silent for a moment. I might enter the lake. According to the records of the Human Empress Palace, the suppression method was in the depths, so I might have to go. Everyone was shocked but not surprised. No one knew what would happen if he went in. Friend Jing, are you sure? Asked Liu. Jiang Hao lowered his head and did not answer the question. Everyone understood. He was confident. Will there be any strange phenomena once you enter? Gui asked. If there was any progress, and he needed help, the two people with her could help him. Jiang Hao was silent for a while. The Human Emperor's Palace. Everyone was surprised. He was certain that the Human Emperor's Palace was very important. Gui understood that the two seniors had entered the depths and must have known more about the situation. Therefore, the methods that they had prepared to strengthen the Human Emperor's Palace must have something to do with the palace itself and the general situation at present. If it's not near the Human Emperor's Palace, how will we know? Liu asked. Gui had met people in the Human Emperor's Palace, but they were in the south at the moment, so she did not know much. Fireworks. Gui said. If I sense that the Human Emperor's Palace is changing and needs help, all the big cities in the south will let loose some fireworks. That'll be the signal. Jiang Hao was shocked. He did not know Gui had such influence in the south. The south was so big. How would Gui manage that? Jiang Hao could only think of one possibility. Everything had been prepared in advance. The only thing left was for Gui to give a signal. Gui's influence and strength were unquestionable. After that, they talked about other details. The gathering ended. When he came out, Jiang Hao looked up at the starry sky. He did not want to enter the new world. That place must be extraordinary. If he went in, he might not be able to return. He found senior brother Zheng who was keeping watch and sat down beside him. Junior brother Jiang, Aren't you going to rest? Zheng Shijiu asked. Yes. Jiang Hao nodded. Senior brother Zheng, you're as kind as ever. What are you talking about, junior brother Jiang? Compared to you, I'm really just ordinary, 19 Shijiu said with a smile. At that moment, he was roasting a chicken at the bonfire. After a while, he tore off half of it and gave it to Jiang Hao. The latter gladly accepted it and took a bite. Zheng Shijiu was surprised. He did not say anything and started eating. It's not that delicious, Jiang Hao said. Zheng 19 laughed. The way you were eating, I thought you found it irresistible. Jiang Hao looked at the lake. We have to continue retreating tomorrow. Will we be blamed for leaving? Zheng Shijiu asked. Maybe, said Jiang Hao. But this place isn't safe anymore. In the days to come, the lake will erupt and expand further. Zheng 19 nodded without hesitation. Also, I'm going to the lake tomorrow. You guys keep an eye on the lake. If something happens, retreat immediately. There might be a lot of changes after this, Jiang Hao said. He did not plan to use closed-door cultivation as an excuse. You want to find those people who went in? Zheng Shijiu asked. Jiang Hao nodded without explaining further. He could say he was going to find those people who went inside. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1054, the Demoness suggestion they were supposed to retreat. This surprised everyone. Liao Jin and the others felt that it was too much to bear. They could not just retreat into the sect without completing the mission. Doing so would mean they failed. It would be difficult to face anyone in the sect. In demonic sects, people did not respect those who fled from the scene. It invited too many troubles. They would not be respected. The demonic sects paid great attention to things like that. The stronger people would always harass the weak. Once they failed and were seen as weak, it would be difficult to escape it. Of course, once such a trend appeared, it was extremely difficult to reverse it. Senior brother Jiang, it's a little too late to retreat, isn't it? Said Lu Dong hesitantly. If people know about this, it'll affect your reputation, said Cheng Yuchen. She did not dare to say her reputation. It was best to make Jiang Hao feel like his reputation would be damaged. He was a candidate competing for the seat of the top disciple, so reputation was important to him. Jiang Hao's reaction disappointed them. It's fine. Retreat first. It's no longer safe here. His calm but firm voice made the others feel a little helpless. However, no one dared to refute it. Jiang Hao understood that these people did not want to retreat. But they did not refuse. That was the power of being a candidate for the seat of top disciple. It would be even more convenient after he became a top disciple. At that time, he would wait for the Great Era War at the Heavenly Note sect. He would take care of the Spirit Herb Garden and watch the storm outside. After retreating, Jiang Hao stood on a mountain peak and looked into the distance. They could vaguely see the lake. If there was any problem, they could react immediately. This is good. From today, you must watch the lake every day. Jiang Hao looked at the four of them. Be it day or night, keep an eye on it. If there's anything unusual, sound the alarm and continue to retreat. Don't turn back. Run back to the sect with all you've got. They were a little surprised. It all sounded like this was a great disaster. Zheng Shijiu looked very serious. He had never seen Jiang Hao instruct someone like this before. It meant whatever danger was there in the lake was huge. Senior brother, are you planning to do something? Liao Jin asked. I need to go in. The situation inside might have changed. I need to confirm the situation and then report to the sect, Jiang Hao said. The others were stunned. Liao Jin, Lu Dong, and Cheng Yuchen had felt that Jiang Hao wanted to retreat with them because he was afraid. However, they felt that something was wrong. He was asking them to retreat to safety while he went in to face danger alone. It was impossible. Maybe he was telling them to retreat so that he could hide somewhere else. It was both safe and made him seem like a hero. Many people did something like that more often than not. Jiang Hao turned around and left. They all heaved a sigh of relief when he walked away. The person who led them was gone. Are we going to stay here? Lu Dong asked. If they continued to stay here, it would affect their reputation. What will happen if we leave? Cheng Yuchen asked. The others were silent. If they left, they would be directly going against the team leader's instruction. Everyone sighed wearily. They had no choice but to stay here. I don't understand what senior brother Jiang is trying to do. Did we somehow offend him? Lu Dong asked. Liao Jin fell silent. He had offended him before. Maybe Jiang Hao was taking it out on everyone. However, he could not say that out loud. He would be the target of everyone's resentment if he did. Meanwhile, Sichu Jian left with his men. Is it really necessary? Ren Shuang asked. It is. I believe that He's right, Sichu Jian said seriously. At that moment, he led many of his fellow disciples away. If they did not listen to him, he would just tell them to leave. Li Ertao also followed. He did not have any objections. Even if the others had complaints, they did not dare voice it out. Ren Shuang recalled the time she had met Jiang Hao. He was a Foundation Establishment Realm cultivator back then, but he had already reached the peak of the Golden Core realm at the moment. His realm surpassed everyone present. At the 100 Flowers Lake, Hong Yuye sat in the pavilion and looked into the distance. Dark clouds gathered in the blue sky. Lightning flashed. At that moment, a figure landed outside the pavilion. Sect Master, Baiji bowed respectfully. She was a little nervous. This time, she had not come here to report. She had been summoned by the Sect Master. It must be something important. Have you found anything on the lake outside the sect? Hong Yuye asked. We're still investigating. The people who went in haven't come out yet, said Baiji. That made her extremely uneasy. If it was just an ordinary matter, the Sect Master would not have asked about it. The problem with the lake was beyond anyone's imagination. Is it dark inside? Hong Yuye asked. Yes. Only the lantern of the lantern bearer can illuminate the way. Jiang Hao also has a small lantern, and it seems that he can also find his way inside, Baiji immediately said. The heavenly essence soul modeling mirror might see the path inside, Hong Yuye suddenly said. She did not explain further. Baiji left, but she could not understand what the sect master meant. However, there was one thing that she was certain of. She needed to use the heavenly essence soul modeling mirror again. Not only did she have to use it, but she also had to shine it on the lake. He did not know the exact reason, but the fact that they needed to use the mirror was enough to show how dangerous the place was. Once she returned to her residence, Baiji put aside everything and immediately informed everyone to pour power into the heavenly essence soul modeling mirror. Although the price was high, she could not hesitate when the sect master had spoken. In front of the lake, Jiang Hao waited for a moment. He then sighed and entered. He wanted to see if Hong Yuye would appear here. But there was no time to wait. A vast aura appeared in the lake. The outbreak might happen in the next few days. Time was running short. When he entered, he felt that the darkness weighed heavy. Jiang Hao saw the path when he took out his lantern. Don't I need to close my eyes this time? It seems the influence of the lake is getting stronger, he thought. He sighed and walked ahead. He was not very fast, but he had already reached the Heaven Stone. It's different from the feeling I had before. He felt that he had to walk very long before, but he reached it soon this time. The new world was near. Perhaps after some time, he would be able to see the Heaven Stone without entering the lake. He only took a glance and wiped it before continuing to walk forward. He was entering a new world, but he had no idea what was going on inside. Jiang Hao thought that he would encounter some changes when he entered the new world, but it was just as dark as before. Even with the lantern, it could not illuminate the path ahead. This time, he felt that the path was extremely long. It was as if no matter how many steps he walked, he could not leave the darkness. The new world was not as eventful as he expected. He did not encounter anyone along the way. Suddenly, he felt a gust of wind streak past. It became extremely difficult to move forward. The light from the lantern went out. Everything returned to silence. He could only reach this point. The Thousand Faces treasure fan appeared in his hand. He transformed into smiling San Sheng. The seal on the Shenyuan sword shattered. Then, a long sword emitting golden light whistled out. In an instant, the sword's intent swept in all directions. The power that was hindering him disappeared. The sword light lit up the lantern. He could see the path ahead once again. "Who are you?" A weak voice came from the Shenyuan sword. The dragon's soul had awakened. It had felt a great danger, which had woken it from its slumber. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1055. The Demoness makes her move in the darkness. There was still a vast river. The only difference was that there was a path beside the river. After the Shenyuan sword came out of its seal, Jiang Hao could see the path again. Although it was not much, it was enough for him to continue moving forward. He walked to the end of the river. There was a way to suppress the heavenly extreme dream pearl. So far, he only knew that suppressing it required the human emperor's palace and the Shenyuan sword. He did not know anything else. The darkness weighed heavily. It pressed down on him. He did not care. Instead, he looked ahead and took a step forward. "I'm standing right in front of you, and you don't know who I am. You're asking the wrong question. Instead of asking me who I am, why don't you ask me where this is?" A weak dragon soul appeared around the Shenyuan sword. It looked around and was terrified. The new world. How could that be? Why not? Are you not looking forward to the new world? Jiang Hao asked with a smile. He held the folding fan in his hand and walked inside. "It is no wonder the sword followed you here willingly. A new world has opened," the dragon soul sighed. "Where can we find the human emperor now? Why are you looking for the human emperor here?" Jiang Hao asked. "What do you mean?" The dragon soul looked at Jiang Hao. "Isn't it good enough that you're with smiling San Sheng?" Jiang Hao asked with a smile. The dragon soul looked at Jiang Hao and did not speak for a long time. "Is it that strange?" Jiang Hao asked as he walked. He suddenly remembered that senior brother Zheng and the others had wanted to keep talking to fill the silence before. In this endless darkness, it was a blessing to have someone to talk to. "It's strange. Are you of any use?" the dragon soul asked. "The human emperor lives in the past, but I live in the present. People have to look forward to life. I will eventually surpass the human emperor." Jiang Hao put down his folding fan. He was confident that he could do it. No one even dared to compare themselves to the human emperor, let alone claim to surpass him. Jiang Hao dared to be the first. The dragon soul looked at Jiang Hao and remained silent. After a long time, it finally said, "It's not enough. Even with the Shenyuan sword, we can't enter the gate to the new world. This place isn't as simple as you think. I suggest that you leave first, and then think of a way to find some powerful people and treasures before we enter it again. Otherwise, it'll be useless. It might even consume all the power left behind by the Shenyuan sword." "Not enough." Jiang Hao smiled and extended his hand. Then, he activated his secret technique. "Then, what about this?" He activated the human emperor's palace. In the blink of an eye, a beam of light lit up the darkness, and a vast aura followed along. The light landed on Jiang Hao, and a forceful aura burst forth. At that moment, a palace appeared in Jiang Hao's outstretched palm. Numerous auras swept through everything around. The light illuminated the surroundings. The Shenyuan sword was beside him, and he held the human emperor's palace in his palm. The dragon's soul widened its eyes in disbelief. How is that possible? It was hard to believe that he had activated the human emperor's palace, which hovered in his palm. His power was recognized by the human emperor's palace. No one had ever done that except the human emperor himself. How could that be possible? At that moment, the dragon soul could no longer speak. "No objections. Let's go then," said Jiang Hao. It was as though nothing could faze him. At that moment, he felt unrestrained and fearless. There was nothing here that could scare him. The dragon soul could only follow this person. The journey was long. Even though the dragon soul knew the path to the new world, it was still unable to get close quickly. Jiang Hao did not know how long he had walked. Perhaps it was a day, or it had been 7 days. Jiang Hao realized that things were getting difficult to see. When they arrived at a staircase, the path ahead was completely cut off. Even the Shenyuan sword and the human empress palace could not provide him with light. The lantern was completely ineffective. Jiang Hao put away the lantern and looked up. He could not see properly, but he knew that the path was near its end. Should we be walking ahead without bracing ourselves? Anything could happen in this darkness. Back when the human emperor walked this path, he was attacked. He had the Shenyuan sword so he could slay all evil. But your cultivation is not enough. It'll get difficult for you, said the dragon soul. How far is it? Jiang Hao asked. The concept of distance is of no use in the new world. You might reach it in a single step, or it might take 10 years. According to the human emperor, this path tests a person's heart. Some who are not so firm in their intentions might not be able to get close to the gate of the new world even if you have a lamp to show the way, said the dragon soul. Isn't this the new world? Jiang Hao asked. Yes, said the dragon soul. But this is only a portion of it. This is just the path to the new world. The new world, Jiang Hao said with a smile. With a sigh, he took a step forward. As he walked ahead, he realized that the stone steps were gradually disappearing. It was as if everything had become flat and everything would be swallowed by darkness soon. Even though he had the Shenyuan sword and the human empress palace, he still could not escape being lost in the darkness. However, he was not afraid, and he continued ahead. He did not look back, but he did not know how long he would have to walk. His footsteps became heavy. The new world was indeed something that could subvert the old world. It was not so easy to reach it. In front of Lawless Tower, countless formations combined, and numerous resources were fed into it. There was an ancient mirror in the center, and power was rapidly being injected into it. It had been 7 days. It would not be long before the heavenly essence soul modeling mirror could be ready for use. However, just as Baiji was thinking about how to use it, the mirror suddenly moved. It floated off the ground and began to spin. Immediately after, the power that it lacked was instantly replenished. Baiji stood up. The sect master had made her move. What had been so urgent that the sect master needed to take action personally? She had a feeling that a disaster was coming. The others also stood up. They thought Elder Baiji had made the move. Immortals were immortals, after all. But what they could not understand was why Elder Baiji seemed so nervous. At that moment, the heavenly essence soul modeling mirror shone with a beam of light, and an image appeared on it. At first, it was a lake, and then it went dark. The light from the heavenly essence soul modeling mirror shone and pierced into the heavy darkness. There was a river and a path. The light was flowing up the river. However, after a while, they saw a stone tablet with the words "Passage to Heaven" written on it. A path that led to the new world. The light did not stop and continued to move upwards. Soon, they saw the lantern bearer and some other people around him. They had long gotten lost in the darkness. They were in a daze. It was only when the light shone on them that they came to their senses. They immediately gathered around the lantern bearer and began to retreat. The light continued to rise. At that moment, the light reached the front of the stairs. In an instant, the light began to dim. However, they could still see the true dragon statues. Terrifying auras erupted from the statues. Even through the mirror, their aura was terrifying. They were very curious about what was at the end of the path. Just as they looked in puzzlement, a blurry figure appeared before their eyes. The person had something in his hand that shone with a golden light. The vast aura surged. The Shenyuan sword frightened all things. The moment they saw the person, they were shocked. It was as if someone was carrying the sword and the burden of the world with it. The light stopped on this person and illuminated his path. Baiji said, "The Heavenly Note sect is willing to do our best to overcome this crisis together. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1056. We misunderstood senior brother Jiang in the darkness. Jiang Hao felt that the road ahead was difficult. He had many treasures on him, and his mind was made up. However, it was still difficult to move forward in such darkness. The slightest carelessness would cause one to get lost in it and completely fall into a daze from which one might not wake up. He was a little puzzled. Could one still enter the new world if they were Muddlehead? Perhaps the Dream Pearl needed the people entering the place to be Muddlehead. It was unknown if the human emperor really had gone in before. At that moment, Jiang Hao's footsteps became heavier and heavier. He felt that he was at his limit. Just when he was about to stop, he noticed the change behind him. A beam of light descended from the sky. The light shone all the way to him and illuminated the path ahead. It was also at this moment that he realized that he had walked a long distance and was halfway up the stairs. There were many true dragon statues around him. A terrifying aura emanated from them. If he got close, it would be disastrous. When the light shone on him, he felt that it was familiar. He thought that it might be the heavenly essence soul modeling mirror. Fortunately, he did not feel like he was being spied on. Immediately after, there was a voice. It was Elder Baizhi. Jiang Hao heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that she was only here to help him move forward. No matter what, the current situation was beneficial to him. Jiang Hao continued walking forward. It was pitch black above, and he did not know where the path ended. Jiang Hao did not walk fast, and the surrounding pressure was too great. It was difficult to move forward. However, he did not dare to hesitate for even a second. The heavenly essence soul modeling mirror could not be maintained for a long time. He had to reach the top as soon as possible to find a way to suppress the heavenly extreme dream pearl. Outside the human empress palace, Baizhu looked at the yellow river of 9 winds helplessly. She walked out again. The human emperor's palace was shaking. It meant everything had begun. She had no choice but to come out of there. She did not know how long it would take, but she needed to make preparations. Sai Cheng drank his wine and looked at the river covered in starlight. The human emperor's palace is almost repaired. I wonder if the other party can use it now. It's shocking that someone has the power to activate the human emperor's palace. It's truly impressive, said Sai Cheng. Yeah. I've never heard of anyone in the world who has such ability, WN Xiu said. They did not think too much about it. However, they felt curious about Baizhu. Were you covered by someone's power earlier? Baizhu looked at the two of them and said dejectedly, that's right. I've been targeted by an expert. I don't know if I'll ever have a chance to escape it in this lifetime. It was already the beginning of May. Jiyu Changsheng had been here a few days ago. The moment she told him that the heavenly extreme dream pearl was about to explode, the other party left. He did not look back at all. It was as if he, who had always wanted to come back to the world, had given up on that idea. It turned out that Baizhu did not have to get someone powerful to make him go away. Apparently, telling him that the heavenly extreme dream pearl was about to erupt was enough to send him packing. She had tried so hard to stop Jiyu Changsheng, but another problem had occurred. It's okay. That could very well end up being a blessing, said Sai Cheng. I don't think it is, Baizhu said dejectedly. Qiao Yi stood by her side. But she felt useless that she could not do anything for Baizhu. On the other side of the city, a middle-aged man looked into the distance. They were waiting for something. Fireworks. He was curious. Can she really make all the fireworks explode all over the southern region? She looks ordinary enough, but it seems she is powerful enough to influence the entire southern region. He sighed and closed his eyes. The explosion of the heavenly extreme dream pearl was something he had never expected would happen. However, since he was already here, he could not leave. I wanted to go and see the place where Shongan became an immortal, but who would have thought that the south would be filled with disasters? Numerous years before this, the south had always been careful. But in the previous 10 years, there has been disaster after disaster. How strange. He could not understand it. The heavenly fate misfortune pearl, the earth extreme silent pearl, and the heavenly extreme dream pearl could destroy all living beings. They might erupt one after another. Meanwhile, Shenyuan Tai finally understood the problem. The lake outside the Heavenly Note sect had expanded. His intuition told him that all the problems arose from there. He went out to see it for himself. Senior brother, isn't that dangerous? Shenyuan, he was a little worried. Staying in the sect might not be beneficial to my growth, Shenyuan Tai said. At that moment, a small dragon was circling around him. The aura of Soul Ascension realm spread in all directions. Then, take Xiao Long with you, said Shenyuan He with a sigh. The azure dragon curled up and landed on Shenyuan He's head. It looked lazy. All right, said Shenyuan Tai. Besides, they are following us. Shenyuan He looked back but did not find anything behind them. What was following them? However, if Shenyuan Tai said something was following them, then it must be true. With the help of the dragon, they arrived at the lake in just a few days. The unparalleled vast aura shocked Shenyuan Tai. As the Grand Earth Emperor, he knew better than anyone how dangerous this place was. Without hesitation, he immediately led his men to retreat. This place was very unsafe. The lake seemed to be boiling. On a distant mountain peak, Zheng Shijiu looked into the distance. Liao Jin did the same. Although some of them complained, they still kept watch on the lake every day. There's nothing to observe here. We don't need to be here, Lu Dong said from behind. Cheng Yuchen agreed. However, the moment they finished speaking, Zheng Shijiu and Liao Jin looked horrified. Then, they informed everyone around them. They began to retreat. Retreat. Quickly. 19 Zheng shouted. Lu Dong and Cheng Yuchen were at a loss. When they looked ahead, they were stunned. The monstrous waves covered the sky and devoured everything. The sun and moon lost their light, and the mountains sank. That vast and boundless power suppressed them. It frightened them. Their legs went weak. If they were not far enough, they would drown. They snapped back to reality and flew away on their swords. Along the way, they saw more and more people getting caught up in it. Everything was swallowed by the darkness. At that moment, they were glad that they were so far away. It was also at that moment they understood senior brother Jiang's impeccable judgment. They had been ignorant. As expected, a great disaster had occurred. The disciples of the Black Heaven sect who had left with Sichu Jian were also frightened. If they had not left early, they would have been doomed. The new world began to cover the surroundings. At the same time, Jiang Hao finally finished walking up the stairs and stood on a platform. There was a door with a real dragon engraved on it. There was a book carved on stone in front of the door. There was power resonating within the Shenyuan sword and the human empress palace. At the same time, the light from the heavenly essence soul modeling mirror disappeared. At the 100 Flowers Lake, Hong Yuye placed the back of her fair hand against her lips. She coughed lightly. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1057, The Magnificent Figure, 1. In front of the gate, Jiang Hao looked up into the sky. The light that had been shining on them had already disappeared. Other than the book carved on the stone, the rest of the place had returned to darkness. The heavy darkness seemed to be trying to crush everything. Jiang Hao found it difficult to move forward. The closer you get to the new world, the harder it'll be for you to move. It's amazing that you managed to come this far, the dragon soul said. It was surprised. It had not expected this person to reach this far. With such a low cultivation realm, he had managed to reach the door. This was only the beginning. Even with the human emperor's palace and the Shenyuan sword, it would be extremely difficult to suppress the new world. The dragon soul had seen the human emperor fight against the new world before. It was extremely difficult to shake the door. Jiang Hao was surprised. It seemed he could not break in with brute force. The new world was a dream world, so it made sense it needed a primordial soul to enter. It was equally possible that nothing might work. Does the book record the method to suppress it? Jiang Hao asked. Yes, but I don't know what it is exactly. The human emperor left it behind. Perhaps it can help you, said the dragon soul. Jiang Hao nodded and walked toward the book without hesitation. The book resonated with the Shenyuan sword and the human emperor's palace. A light appeared around it. Once it stopped glowing, he would be stranded in the darkness once again. Whether he could escape was another matter. As Jiang Hao approached the book, he suddenly felt his surroundings light up. The door, which should have been dark, glowed brighter. A breeze blew and brought a fragrance of wildflowers and grass with it. He turned around and saw that the stairs were still there, but there were some flowers around it. The stone statues of the true dragons lined up. They seemed to be welcoming someone. The vast pressure from below had disappeared. The biggest change was in the sky. At that moment, the sky was blue with many clouds in it. There was a sun in the sky which spread warmth. The sudden change didn't make Jiang Hao happy. On the contrary, it made him even more vigilant. This was most likely the new world, and he had entered without any warning. He had not even noticed it. When he turned around, he saw a young man standing opposite the book. There were scales on his face and a pair of dragon horns on his head. The person was a true dragon. There was no aura, but it seemed to have fused with this world. Jiang Hao's heart skipped a beat. An inexplicable sense of danger enveloped him. "Senior, who are you?" he asked slowly. "Just call me Long Tian," Long Tian said with a smile. "Why are you here, Senior Long Tian?" Jiang Hao asked. "I am the guard of the gate to the new world," Long Tian said. "I see." Jiang Hao nodded. He could not believe it. Just a glance was enough to show how powerful this person was. Guards were not usually this impressive. No matter how powerful the guards were, they would not have such a presence. "You are here to enter the new world?" Long Tian asked. "Senior, you must be joking. My talent is not up to par. I don't think him worthy of entering the new world," said Jiang Hao. He needed to check the contents of the book. After entering, he immediately communicated with the golden rings. It was a strange feeling. It seemed like he could communicate with the rings outside, but at the same time, it seemed like he could not do it entirely. No matter what, the situation was not optimistic. He might not be able to leave from here. The new world doesn't look at talent, background, or strength. As long as you have the willpower, the door to the new world will open for you. Long Tian smiled and extended his hand. "Come, hold my hand. I'll take you into the new world. There are no disputes, no schemes, and no difference in strength there. You don't have to humble yourself just because you have a lower cultivation realm. You won't need money. No arrogant person will cause you trouble. The new world is about hope. This place has everything you want, whether it's family, friendship, or love. You won't live in poverty. No one will harass you. If you want to work hard, you can. If you don't want to work too hard, you can spend the rest of your life in peace. Follow me. I will arrange everything. If you're worried about your family, you can bring them with you. Everything is within reach. A beautiful wife, a spacious house, and delicious food at the front of the door. All that's missing is your approval," he said. Jiang Hao looked at the person's hand in silence. "Aren't you interested?" Long Tian asked with a smile. Jiang Hao shook his head. He was indeed not interested in the offer at all. Long Tian maintained his smile. "What did you see in the book?" It is said that not everyone can see the writing left behind by the human emperor. Jiang Hao could not read the book anymore, but he knew the contents of the book. There was a passage recorded inside. The only way to suppress and seal the new world is to build a bridge with the human emperor's palace in order to open up a new space between the human emperor's palace and the new world. Then, you can fight with Long Tian's mind. The human emperor's palace contains the power I left behind in case of emergencies. It would be best if you had the Shenyuan sword. However, these can only assist you. Talent is the key. Your Dao heart represents how far you can go, and it also represents whether you can suppress Long Tian and seal the new world. It might also determine how long it can be sealed. Jiang Hao felt helpless as he recalled those words. Long Tian represented the new world. As long as he defeated him, he would be able to suppress the new world once and for all. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1058, The Magnificent Figure, 2. However, there was a crucial thing. It was the space between the human emperor's palace and the new world. It required strength to fight for something like this. If the human emperor's palace and the Shenyuan sword were not powerful enough, he would be doomed. If he had enough strength, he might be able to have an advantage. It looks like you saw it, but you're not the human emperor. I don't think you can beat me, Long Tian said. Yes. I'm just an ordinary cultivator who wants to live in peace, Jiang Hao said calmly. Then, why don't you just come to the new world? Long Tian asked. Why should I? Jiang Hao asked. Don't you think the old world is filthy? Don't you think that many people are struggling to compete for resources? Don't you know that it won't matter what you do? Long Tian stared at Jiang Hao. As long as there are people, they will fight. Among themselves, he continued. But the new world doesn't have that. This place has all the beauty of the world. Long Tian looked at Jiang Hao. Perhaps you will feel that no matter how beautiful the new world is, it still needs competition. Without that, how could the new world prove its beauty? But have you ever thought that people in the old world are living in pain, so would they really think that far ahead? They live in suffering and want to escape from it. People don't think about the future. Perhaps one day, the new world will become the same as the old world. Then the new world will need another new world to save the people of that generation. That's the future. It's inevitable. We can only save our own generation. That's enough, I assent it. Yes. Jiang Hao nodded. Do you agree with what I said? I do. Then, do you want to come with me? Let's open up a new world together and let everyone in the old world escape from their suffering. I can't. Jiang Hao shook his head. Why? Do you know that your choice represents the choice of the entire world? You should think about whether others would agree with you or not. Long Tian's eyes were fixed on Jiang Hao. Yes. Jiang Hao nodded. Long Tian was a little surprised. Tell me, I assent the current old world full of suffering? Yes. Jiang Hao nodded. Do you agree with what I did? Do you agree with my ideals? Long Tian asked again. Yes. Jiang Hao nodded again. Then, why won't you come with me and end the old world and start a new one? Long Tian asked. There's no significant reason. It's just that we don't share the same thinking, that's all. Jiang Hao shook his head. Look at him. Long Tian waved his hand, and an image appeared. An old man was farming. He was thin and tanned, and his lips were cracked. He started farming when he was 10 years old. He is now 47 years old. He leaves early and returns late every day just to eat and sleep. Even so, he doesn't have much food left. He would be completely free in the new world. He will have abundant food and rest. Long Tian waved his hand again. And a new scene appeared. A woman was lying in a small wooden house. She could not walk, but she was sitting on the bed and knitting clothes. When she was young, a rich man rode past and trampled on her legs. Her family abandoned her. She begged at the village entrance for a place to stay. A drunkard took her in. Do you know how many beatings she takes from that drunkard just to survive? She wishes for a peaceful life. She doesn't have big dreams. She just wants to be able to walk again. There is no hope for her in the old world, but my new world can fulfill her wish. I can save her. Why do you want to stop me? Do you know how many such people are in the world? Are you going to ignore their suffering? What did they ever do to deserve this? Are you going to take away their last chance at hope? Long Tian's voice rang clear. His words pierced the heart. An invisible battle had already begun. There were no witnesses. Jiang Hao looked at the other party and felt like he was a sinner. Are you going to stop me? Long Tian asked. I have to. Jiang Hao nodded. I'm just a person. I don't represent the whole world. Those people want a better life, and so do I. I'm just fighting for my own survival. That's all. You're already here. Who do you think you represent? Long Tian laughed. You have to know that you are the second person to stand in front of me. The first was the human emperor. You said that you don't represent anyone. If you think that way, what will happen to the people in the world? It's not that I don't have anyone to think about. Although I don't want people's support, I do need to borrow some of their strength to complete my task. As soon as Jiang Hao finished speaking, the secret technique activated, and the purple energy circulated everywhere. In an instant, the power in his body burst forth. A bridge seemed to have appeared under his feet. It led to Long Tian. You're really confident in yourself. Do you think you're the human emperor? Long Tian asked. I never thought so, but I've already said this twice. I'll say it again, said Jiang Hao. I'll surpass the human emperor. Today, you see me standing before you. In the future, I'll be able to suppress you with one hand. Remember my name. Jiang Hao opened his folding fan, and the words unparalleled in the world flashed on it. He smiled. My name is Smiling San Sheng. As soon as he finished speaking, a golden light emanated from his body, and the projection of the human emperor's palace tore through the air. It illuminated the world. At the same time, a golden light suddenly burst out from the location of the yellow river of 9 winds. Baizhu stood up and looked ahead nervously. Even Sai Cheng and Wen Xiu were surprised. At that moment, a shadow was projected from the human emperor's palace, and a voice transmitted from within. The projection of the human emperor's palace? Ridiculous. Back then, even the human emperor didn't dare to bring only a phantom with him. Phantom. Did you hear that? It's all that is. As soon as he finished speaking, Baizhu heard shouts ringing out from the human emperor's palace as if she had suffered a great humiliation. In an instant, the human emperor's palace soared into the sky and broke through the air. With a murderous intent, it suppressed all things. It's starting, Sai Cheng said seriously. It's not time yet. Let's wait for a while, Wen Xiu said seriously. Should I send the signal now? Baizhu asked worriedly. Wait for a moment. The human emperor's palace needs to move in place, Wen Xiu said. All right, Baizhu said nervously. Although it seemed like nothing had happened, there was a lot at stake. Outside the Heavenly Note sect, endless waves began to cover the surroundings. Baizhi and her men tried their best to resist. At that moment, she finally understood why the sect master had intervened. The Heavenly Note sect was in danger. If the people inside did not hurry, the Heavenly Note sect would cease to exist. Even so, they were still able to hold on because of an unknown pearl that blocked most of the waves for them. Outside, Shenyuan Tai looked on in horror. The terrifying wave was about to devour everything. Who could suppress this place? No one could do it. It was impossible to stop this wave. Unfortunately, he was still too weak. It was useless even if he went in. Shenyuan he was stunned. She had never expected to find something like this here. Was there really no hope? Even the dragon was afraid. Just as they despaired, a golden light burst forth. A huge palace had appeared above the waves. Then, it pressed down on the lake. Boom. The waves were suppressed by the human emperor's palace and began to calm down. However, the waves surged and were about to break through the human emperor's palace when Shenyuan Tai heard a voice. Shenyuan sword, open a path for me. Boom. A sword intent broke through the waves and seemed to pierce into the endless darkness. At that moment, Shenyuan Tai felt that even if the Shenyuan sword was destroyed, it would still obey and open a path. He saw someone. It was a man with a folding fan. He was walking on a bridge. The human emperor's palace had built a bridge for him, and the Shenyuan sword opened a path along it. The imposing figure left other people in the dust. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1059, Yellow River of the 9 Winds and its water coming from the sky. At the Yellow River of 9 Winds, Baizhu looked ahead. At that moment, she could not sense anything. Sai Cheng drank his wine gloomily. Wen Xiu closed his eyes as if he was sensing the wind around him. Qiao Yi knew that it was dangerous, but she did not know much about anything else. Whether they were at the Golden Core or the primordial spirit realm, they waited eagerly. A moment later, Wan Shou opened his eyes. The battlefield is ever-changing, but there's a perfect opportunity for the people inside to gain the greatest advantage. Wan Shou looked up into the sky. The time has come. Baizhu, release the signal. All right. Baizhu crushed the jade pendant without hesitation. Then, it turned into a curse and disappeared completely. Qiao Yi did not understand its function, but it looked very impressive. At the same time, a beam of light suddenly shot into the sky from a rather large city under the yellow river of 9 winds. Then, it exploded with a bang. The fireworks erupted everywhere. It was not just this city. The 3 surrounding cities also released fireworks at the same time. If one looked further away, one could almost see 10 other cities doing the same. Fireworks bloomed in the sky. Hundreds and thousands of them lit up the sky. It covered the entire southern region. Even the imperial city was filled with fireworks. The people who felt all of this looked up at the sky. They smiled at the fiery scene even if they did not completely understand what was happening. However, something good must have happened to create such a beautiful thing. At that moment, a middle-aged man looked at the fireworks. He stood on the city wall in a robe. He realized that all the surrounding cities were covered in fireworks. He could not help but sigh. Without hesitation, a mirror appeared in his hand. He pointed it at the Heavenly Note sect. In an instant, the Heavenly Essence Soul modeling mirror burst out with light, and an invisible suppressive force soared into the sky. It shone in the direction of the Heavenly Note sect. He had never thought of getting close. If he was too close, the mirror would not work. It only worked if the distance was far enough. He did not want to die for nothing. On the bank of the yellow river of 9 winds, Wan Shou looked at Sai Cheng. Are you ready? Yes, Sai Cheng said seriously. Then, let's begin. Wan Shou took a step forward, and light appeared under his feet. The light began to spread rapidly. In the span of a breath, Baizhu saw the entire yellow river of 9 winds light up. There was a terrifying formation on it that could gather the water of the river and send it shooting across a distance. At the same time, she had an inexplicable feeling that the river was like a winding dragon, and the dragon was awakening from its slumber. It contained the power to suppress the world. Wan Shou formed a hand seal, and the yellow river of 9 winds instantly came to life. Jun Bujian, the water of the yellow river comes from the sky. As soon as he finished speaking, Wan Shou pointed 2 fingers at the sky. The water of the river rose into the sky in the direction of his finger. Sai Cheng drank the last mouthful of wine and sprinkled the leftover wine from the gourd into the sky. The wine turned into stars that filled the sky and illuminated the earth. Stellar transposition. The stars wrapped around the river and entered the starry sky. In the new world, Jiang Hao followed the bridge and arrived at a space filled with stars. This was the space between the human emperor's palace and the new world. This was a competition. At that moment, he stood in midair. The Shenyuan sword slashed open the new world from behind. The sky was clear. Once it expanded, it would cover Jiang Hao's space. Don't you need a sword? Long Tian was also standing on the starseed. I'll use my own blade, Jiang Hao said. What kind of blade can compare to the Shenyuan sword? Long Tian was not in a hurry to make a move. What do you think of this? Jiang Hao put away his folding fan and took out the primordial heavenly blade. The primordial heavenly blade could split the heavens and earth. Jiang Hao held the heavenly blade in his hand, and his aura suddenly surged. Long Tian was shocked, but the blade had already slashed at him. There was no difference in realms, only in their own beliefs. Divine might. When Jiang Hao attacked, he used his spiritual fire. Although Long Tian was trapped, he remained calm. A long spear appeared in his hand and clashed with the heavenly blade. Boom. The 2 of them retreated some distance away from each other and then disappeared. The spear and the blade clashed, and sparks flew. They both were extremely fast. They disappeared and reappeared in a blur of movement. The surrounding space seemed to be ravaged by the waves and was shattering bit by bit. Jiang Hao's attacks became faster. The The purple energy on his body began to cover the surroundings. Long Tian's dragon might covered the sky. The new world behind him cooperated with him and began to suppress the human empress palace and the Shenyuan sword. Haha. Even if you can hold out for a while, you don't have that much time, said Long Tian. He held his spear and stood proudly. Jiang Hao's heavenly blade hung from his hand. A purple mark appeared on it. Although the human empress palace could not hold on for long, there were still people who could make a move. He knew Sai Cheng and Wen Xiu would not just run away. Even if they did, Jiang Hao did not care. It was not as though he could run from here anyway. Look at my supreme heavenly mirror. As Long Tian was laughing, a bright light suddenly shone over them. Just as he came into contact with it, the new world was illuminated, and it began to retreat. Jiang Hao felt that he had gained an advantage. Jiang Hao looked at the light and sighed. The clear sky school is here. Gui must have sent out her signal. At the same time, a voice was heard from the sky. Jun Bujian, the water of the yellow river of 9 winds is coming from the sky. Crash. The torrential river flowed down from the sky. It washed over the human emperor's palace. At that moment, a new power erupted from the human emperor's palace. A figure appeared ready on it for a battle. At that moment, the water of the yellow river of 9 winds was surging toward the new world. Jiang Hao sensed that he had an opening. Just as he took a step forward to attack the other party, a light suddenly tore through the air. A blade slashed out from the darkness. It was the new immortal slaying world. In an instant, the edge of the new world shattered and left behind a chasm. Long Tian seemed to have weakened a little. Kill them. Jiang Hao did not hesitate any longer. He charged forward with the primordial heavenly blade. The human emperor's palace also rumbled and charged toward the new world to gain an advantage. Shenyuan Tai saw it all in a blur. He saw the water of the yellow river of 9 winds rushing into the new world, and the supreme heavenly mirror forcing the new world back. He also saw the power striking out from the human emperor's palace. Only the Shenyuan sword stood still at the back. No one used it. Shenyuan Tai sensed the sword's murderous intent. He sighed with emotion. Then, he looked at the dragon beside him. "Help me," he said. "You might die," said a little girl's voice from the dragon's mouth. "That's all right." Shenyuan Tai looked ahead. "If I turn a blind eye to this, that'll feel worse than death." If he did not have the courage to pick up the Shenyuan sword and fight when he was needed, why bother becoming the Grand Earth Emperor? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1060. Smiling San Sheng, will be invincible in the world. Shenyuan he did not see what was happening inside. She could not feel what Shenyuan Tai felt. But she could not say anything when she looked at her senior brother. She felt it was better to survive than to rush to death. Was that not the right course of action? If it was in the past, she would definitely say that to her senior brother, but she could not say it at the moment. "Senior brother, please make your way back safely," she said. Shenyuan Tai nodded. Then, he looked at the dragon. The dragon did not hesitate. It used its dragon might to resonate with the thing inside and opened a passage for Shenyuan Tai. At that moment, Shenyuan Tai felt a change in his body. His gaze stopped on the Shenyuan sword. At some point, he had arrived in front of the Shenyuan sword and reached out to grab the hilt. The pressure from the new world pressed down on him and made it difficult for him to even move a muscle. However, the power of the Shenyuan sword spread through his body and gave him strength. It was his choice whether to go ahead with this. The moment he raised the sword, he could feel the heat of the Shenyuan sword. Facing such a terrifying pressure, his heart was filled with fear. Any person would feel frightened by such a terrifying thing. There was no shame in feeling scared. What was more important was to overcome the fear and move forward. At that moment, the Shenyuan sword shone brightly. The dragon soul woke up. "Child, you're here. Be careful. There's almost no exit. It all depends on whether that person can suppress the new world. All we can do is assist him." He has the bearing of the human emperor. It doesn't matter who he is or where he is from. The fact he made it this far and was accepted by the human emperor's palace is enough to explain everything. I know. Shen Yuan Tai nodded. The moment he saw that majestic figure, he knew that this person had the ability and strength of the human emperor himself. Now is not the time to care about that. Shen Yuan Tai walked into the new world with his sword. Although I don't understand what's going on, many powerful experts from past and present are fighting so that he can succeed. We can't waste time. We'll talk again when this is over. If he ended up dying here, there was no need to talk about anything in the first place. At the Heavenly Note sect's 100 Flowers Lake, Hong Yuye slowly pushed the half-moon blade into the soil. It could no longer be used. She still had 2 other half-moon blades with her. She had gotten the latest one only recently. When she sat down, her cough worsened. She looked at the human emperor's palace in silence. At that moment, the water of the yellow river of 9 winds crashed from the sky, and the light of the clear sky school helped suppress the lake. Everything seemed to be in order. In fact, everyone exerted their strength at the same time to suppress the new world for a while. If the people inside did not suppress and seal the new world at this critical moment, the new world would expand and devour everything. As for the consequences, cough, cough, Hong Yuye disappeared from where she was sitting. When she reappeared, she was in the cafeteria. Opposite her sat a young girl who was eating happily. However, the sudden silence around her made her feel a little puzzled. Senior sister? Xiao Li raised her head and smiled. Do you want some of this? Hong Yuye shook her head slightly. Are you full already? Not yet, but, what's the matter, senior sister? I can eat this later, Xiao Li said seriously. Hong Yuye took Xiao Li outside with her. At that moment, they could see the human emperor's palace suppressing the lake. What happened here? Xiao Li exclaimed. Is the sky leaking? The water of the yellow river of 9 winds poured down from the sky relentlessly. It shocked Xiao Li. She had never seen something like this before. Your senior brother Jiang is inside, Hong Yuye said calmly. Senior brother is inside? Xiao Li asked. Isn't that dangerous? Hong Yuye looked at the dragon pearl on Xiao Li's neck. Maybe that can help him. This. Xiao Li grabbed the dragon pearl. How should I get this to him? Just throw it in, Hong Yuye said. Xiao Li threw Archean Abyss Dragon Pearl into the yellow river of 9 winds. The strength of the pearl was unimaginable. Then, Xiao Li looked at Little Wang. Little Wang, do you want to help senior brother Jiang? Woof. Little Wang clung to Xiao Li's pants. It was reluctant to let go. Jiang Hao held the heavenly blade in his hand. Each strike from it was lethal. The heavenly sword slashed and hacked. It had enormous power to suppress all. A formidable power, overwhelming all beliefs, swept in like a storm. Long Tian was suppressed and forced to retreat step by step. However, he still had a smile on his face. You are still too weak. You don't have the time to figure it out. At that moment, the human emperor's palace and Jiang Hao were advancing together. The yellow river of 9 winds broke through the mountains and rivers, and the supreme heavenly mirror shone radiantly. Shen Yuan Tai wielded the Shen Yuan sword and opened up a path ahead. Everyone was doing their part. Victory seemed to be right in front of them but still out of reach. Jiang Hao felt helpless. It was still not enough. You feel it too? You know that none of this is enough. No matter how powerful you are, it's not enough. At the end of the day, you are as weak as ever, said Long Tian and laughed. The current overwhelming power was only temporary. He would win eventually. The new world would cover the old world. Roar. Suddenly, a dragon's roar shook the world. A blue light shone as it landed on Jiang Hao. It strengthened him. The vast dragon's blessing broke through the void. Long Tian was surprised and wanted to interrupt the process. However, the dragon's roar shook the entire world. No one could get close to Jiang Hao. At that moment, a dragon shadow circled around Jiang Hao and finally turned into a pearl that landed in Jiang Hao's hand. For a moment, his thin figure became corporeal. It was as if time had paused. Long Tien was furious. The new world began to surge and cover the surroundings. He had wanted to drag Jiang Hao down, but this time, he wanted to drag him into the new world. Dragon scales covered his entire body, and a power burst out from within. Jiang Hao was not afraid. He smiled sinisterly. The two began to fight. For a moment, power surged, the ground shattered, and the human emperor's palace exploded. The water of the yellow river of 9 winds began to evaporate, and the path to the new world collapsed. The clear sky school's light began to dim. Everything darkened. The Shenyuan sword retreated, and the door to the new world dissipated in the darkness. At that moment, everything was disappearing. Only Jiang Hao and Long Tien were locked in a fight in the center of it all. Their powers burst out like a flood. I have the new world in my heart, and I care about the whole world. What do you have in you to fight against me? I hold the heavenly blade in my right hand, the immortal sea shield in my left hand, and the primordial energy in my body. I have an invincible willpower in my heart. I, smiling San Sheng, rely on no one and will turn out to be invincible in this world and next. Boom. A huge power erupted, and the world paled in comparison. Everything disappeared in an instant. Outside, a powerful force exploded. The human emperor's palace was in ruins, the Shenyuan sword was dim, the light of the clear sky school had disappeared, and the yellow river of 9 winds stopped flowing. The lake was still intact. For a moment, everyone felt helpless. They did not know what would happen. At that moment, Shenyuan He rushed in and looked for Shenyuan Tai. The dragon followed beside her. It wanted to see what was happening, but the lake darkened everything. The terrifying lake could devour everything at any moment. Everyone watched as if their lives depended on it. However, purple energy suddenly burst forth. It enveloped the lake in its entirety. It was the universe in a palm technique. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1061. The first person since the ancient times. The purple energy appeared and disappeared just as quickly. However, when the purple energy completely disappeared, the lake also almost disappeared and left behind only some water. However, the lake was not as dark as before. It turned into ordinary water. The human emperor's palace was destroyed, and in the end, it was pulled into the sky by force. It disappeared into the horizon. Shenyuan He and the dragon looked around. Over there, the dragon exclaimed. At that moment, Shenyuan He looked at the edge of the lake. A figure was lying there. It was not sure whether the person was dead or alive. It was Shenyuan Tai. His aura was weak, and he was protected by the earth. Otherwise, he would have died long ago. Shenyuan He rushed over to him. She did not panic. Instead, she calmly helped the heavily injured Shenyuan Tai and looked at the dragon. Let's go back. The dragon nodded and then picked up the Shenyuan sword. Then, they quickly rushed back. On the way, the experts of the Black Heaven sect found them. They were furious to know that Shenyuan Tai had almost died. Nonsense. This is simply nonsense. Don't you know what your cultivation realm is? Although they got scolded, they were glad to see the others. The Black Heaven sect had contributed to this calamity. After that, it was important to get them back in the sect. The dragon's vitality was also nourishing Shenyuan Tai. At the yellow river of 9 winds, Sai Cheng looked up at the sky. At that moment, the human emperor's palace fell into the river. They could not interfere with it. It was caused by the collision between the human emperor's palace and the new world. Although their strength was decent, it was still not enough to face the new world. Baizhu looked at the dilapidated human emperor's palace with some worry. Did they win? I don't know. I feel like it only offered a momentary advantage, Wn Shou said and looked in the distance. Judging from the feeling, we should still have an advantage for a while. Logically speaking, the new world might erupt again. But it didn't explode yet. Indeed, it didn't erupt. It seems to have been suppressed by a new power, Sai Cheng said. The heavenly secrets brought about by the new world were too chaotic. Even if one could sense it, It was usually very vague. He could only let the heavenly secret stabilize. Baiju nodded. Although she did not know the exact situation, it was good that everything had calmed down. She did not know who would make a move in the end. Qiao Yi heaved a sigh of relief as if she had survived another calamity. As a primordial spirit realm cultivator, she had not even made a move. The ones who attacked were all golden core experts. That was the difference between a golden core and a primordial spirit cultivator. Qiao Yi felt ashamed. On a certain city wall, a middle-aged man frowned as he looked into the distance. At that moment, he was holding the supreme heavenly mirror in his hand, as if he was ready to attack again at any time. Even if he was not in a good state, he had already thought of a way to deal with it. But, did I sense it wrongly? Although the last attack suppressed the other party, it was extremely weak. Logically speaking, it should have erupted again. He looked into the distance in puzzlement. It could not have been suppressed so easily. After hesitating for a moment, he sat down cross-legged and looked ahead. He could make a move at any time. But without more information, he could just stay here. At that moment, everyone outside the Heavenly Note sect was stunned. It was as if everything was over. It felt a little unreal. The people who had disappeared were lying on the ground. Zheng Shijiu looked around but did not see junior brother Jiang. The terrifying power from before must have put junior brother Jiang in danger. The others felt a little lucky. If it was not for Jiang Hao, they might have died long ago. Although there were many people lying on the ground, it was impossible to know whether they were dead or alive. No one dared to go over there. What if it exploded again? Baiji looked into the distance and did not act rashly. The sect master did not give any signal. Baiji did everything according to her own plan. First, she asked someone to bring the lantern bearer and the others back so that she could ask about the situation inside. Jiang Hao was also there, but she did not notice him. She did not know what was up with him. However, Jiang Hao had someone backing him up, so it was safer to just deal with the others. At the same time, at Jiang Hao's house, Hong Yuye was sitting under the tree and looking up at the peaches growing. There was steam wafting up from the teacup on the table before her. There was another cup beside it. No one knew what she was thinking. She looked back at the house after a while. It seemed that there were some changes there. When he looked at the house for the 5th time, a figure appeared there. Jiang Hao had returned. His face was slightly pale. He had no advantage in the previous battle. The opponent had been an ancient existence whose knowledge far exceeded his own. His understanding of the world was not something Jiang Hao could compete with. Even if he relied on the human Empress Palace, the Shenyuan Sword, the water of the Yellow River of 9 Winds, the Supreme Heavenly Mirror, his own Archean Abyss Dragon Pearl, the Primordial Heavenly Blade, the Immortal Mountain Sea Shield, and Hong Yuye's blade, he could only suppress a portion of the new world. If not for the support of the Archean Abyss Dragon Pearl, he would have ended up dead. He was still too weak. His cultivation realm, state of mind, and understanding of heaven and earth were still not enough. He was able to escape this time because too many people had helped him. However, these things would only help him once. He could not rely on them again. He could still rely on himself, but what he needed was ample time and a normal cultivation environment. The great disaster had passed. He wanted to sleep and rest and cultivate. After becoming an immortal, he might be able to do more. He still needed to stay in the Heavenly Note sect. Apart from the huge conflict outside, he constantly faced trouble because of the heavenly fragrance Dao flower. Having it was an advantage. Otherwise, it would not be easy to advance if he could not obtain bubbles. "Looks like you're not injured," Hong Yuye said. Jiang Hao turned around and saw Hong Yuye drinking tea calmly. "Thank you for your help, senior." Jiang Hao bowed respectfully. If not for that blade she sent, it would have been very difficult for him to survive. This time, he had succeeded but only because he had been able to fight on the shoulders of others. It had only left a crack in the new world. If the new world had erupted, even 10 experts helping him would not have been enough. "Where's the heavenly extreme dream pearl?" Hong Yuye asked. Jiang Hao sat down and handed over a pure white pearl. The purple gas wrapped around the pure white pearl. Jiang Hao was extremely surprised when he saw it. He had thought that the heavenly extreme dream pearl would be colorful, but it was pure white. It would have made more sense for it to be entirely black. Hong Yuye did not take the pearl. Instead, she said, "Is there anyone unluckier than you in this world? You now hold 3 dangerous pearls." There was one thing she did not say. A person who could suppress 3 pearls at the same time had never appeared before. He had been the first. Hong Yuye did not touch the pearl. Jiang Hao sighed inwardly. It meant that the 3 pairs were very dangerous. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1062. Jiang Hao is going to die. Jiang Hao took a sip of tea and felt his body recover. Hong Yuye looked at him for a long time. Senior. Jiang Hao was a little worried. What did you find besides the heavenly extreme dream pearl? Hong Yuye suddenly asked. I saw a person named Long Tian, Jiang Hao said. Talked with him? Hong Yuye asked. Yes. What did he say? He said he wanted to bring happiness to this world and free it from suffering. Do you think that's true? Maybe, but it's not what I want. The new world had changed almost everyone's fate, but that was nothing. Jiang Hao did not want to be one of them. Everyone was different, and many people struggled. There were too many people like that to count. The only thing he could do was to lend a helping hand when he met someone like that, but that was all. He could not do anything beyond that. What kind of world do you like? Hong Yuye asked. Jiang Hao thought for a moment, then he shook his head. I have my hands full trying to adapt to this world as it is. He felt that Long Tian was really amazing. He did not like this world, so he opened up a new one. He was far inferior to someone like that. Although the new world had been sealed, it would always be there. Looking back, was there really anyone who could compare to him? Hong Yuye looked at Jiang Hao in silence. In the end, she said, no one has ever been able to suppress all 3 pearls before. Jiang Hao did not understand what she meant. No one knows what will happen when the 3 ultimate ferocious pearls gather together, Hong Yuye said. I'll be very careful, Jiang Hao said. After that, Hong Yuye left. Jiang Hao heaved a sigh of relief. After he had finished drinking tea and had recovered a little, he left the courtyard and went outside. After meeting up with Zheng Shejiu and the others, they went to report the completion of their mission. The mission was successfully completed. There should not be any problems with Jiang Hao's candidacy unless someone rose up and challenged him. The only ones qualified enough to challenge him were the candidates who were away on their own missions. However, they needed to do it half a year or a year in advance. He would accept the challenge immediately. As for those who had returned earlier, they could not challenge him. At least not for the time being. After bidding farewell to everyone, Jiang Hao returned to his residence. A large lake had appeared outside, and all the sects went to explore. There were some fragments of the human emperor's palace there, which was a considerable opportunity to improve one's cultivation. The Heavenly Note sect was also quite concerned. Jiang Hao did not care. He felt tired and needed to rest. The night was silent. On the way, he suddenly stepped into a pit. He ended up hurting his calf. Jiang Hao felt strange. He looked toward his house and walked away slowly. It felt like a long time had passed before he returned to the courtyard. He noticed that his arms and legs were injured. He sat cross-legged on the ground, took out the primordial heavenly blade, and placed it across his knees. Then, he circulated the purple primordial energy. His injuries were slowly healing, but he did not stop there. Instead, he continued to circulate the energy. At midnight, he used his appraisal ability on himself. Status: the Heaven Extinction GU Poison and Hong Yuye's One Heart Palm are simultaneously involved in the karma vortex of the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl, the Earth Extreme Silent Pearl, and the Heavenly Extreme Dream Pearl. Luck has been destroyed by the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl. Body rendered vulnerable by the Earth Extreme Silent Pearl, and your spirit has been shaken by the Heavenly Extreme Dream Pearl. The vortex affects disposition. Raising one's cultivation could withstand more damage. Using sacrificial blood could temporarily alleviate a part of the vortex's influence. If not, your body won't be able to withstand the impact after 33 days. Circulating the primordial purple energy and keeping a divine item close can help endure this for 65 days. Jiang Hao found it hard to believe it. Had he fallen into the vortex created by these 3 vicious pearls? Did he really only have 6 to 5 days at most? At the yellow river of 9 winds, the light of the stars bloomed in the sky. Sai Cheng watered the stars with river water. After a long time, the river water fell, and the starlight returned to normal. He frowned. I've got it. What's the result? Wan Shou asked. The purple star has dimmed. A great calamity is coming, Sai Cheng said in disbelief. The two of them looked at each other as if they were thinking about something. Let's go to the north. We have to be fast, Wan Shou immediately said. Bai Zhu was at a loss. What had happened? You can leave on your own, right? You have a primordial spirit realm cultivator beside you, so you'll be fine. We'll have to leave first. As soon as he finished speaking, Wan Shou and Sai Cheng disappeared from the spot. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1063. There is no way to survive. Watching the two of them disappear, Baizhu was momentarily unsure if they were fleeing. But it did not look like that. They seemed to be in a hurry to reach the north. What happened? Why are they rushing to the north? Baizhu was puzzled. However, she could not guess what was wrong. Princess, Qiao Yi was concerned. Baizhu shrugged. I'm just an 18-year-old girl. There are many things that I don't know. But I can't waste my youth like this. Let's go on a trip. Maybe we will go and watch some mountains and rivers and revel in their beauty. Princess, Qiao Yi called out again. What else can I do? I'm only 18 years old. I just wish there was someone else to take care of this disaster. I just want to live life as an 18-year-old, said Baizhu. Qiao Yi was speechless. The princess was right. No matter what they did, it was useless. They could only wait and watch. Baizhu looked in the direction of the Heavenly Note sect. She felt that it had been hard for her to go anywhere in the past few years. With her luck, it might end up better than she expected. She just hoped her days would not end up being worse. At the Heavenly Note sect, Jiang Hao sat silently before the heavenly fragrance Dao flower. He had thought that everything would be safe after sealing the 3 pearls. It was impossible for him not to feel a little proud of himself. Although it was very dangerous, he had 3 pearls with him. He was the first one to have ever done it. However, disaster struck. It came in a way that he did not understand. The 3 pearls intertwined and formed a vortex. No one had ever obtained 3 pearls at the same time, so no one knew the consequences. He was the first person. Maybe he would be the first to die in such a circumstance. He felt sorrowful. He had been so cautious for so many years and worked hard, but in the end, he still could not escape such a fate. It was simply too late to raise his cultivation realm further. If he did not circulate his primordial energy for 6 to 5 days, he would die. If not, he would die in 33 days. What could he do in 30 days? Plant more spirit herbs. The shortest time a spirit herb took to germinate was 4 months, and the longest was a year. He did not have the time at all. His condition was also bad. He was plagued by ill luck. The collapse of his spirit made his body vulnerable to every injury. Any injury could become fatal. In other words, he might die even while planting spirit herbs. As for mining, he could not dig for ores in his condition. He had no strength at all. Unless he had 40 heavenly fragrance Dao flowers, he might not last even a month. But there were only 3 heavenly fragrance Dao flowers in the entire world. He could not increase his cultivation in such a short time at all. As for the blood wish path, Jiang Hao had placed some of the blood offered to him aside. He used them. The sacrificial blood flew to him and turned to ashes as they absorbed a portion of the ill luck from the vortex. It was like a drop in the ocean. It did not help him much. Even if he turned everyone around him into blood sacrifice, he would not be able to extend his lifespan for long, unless he made everyone go insane and burn their lifeblood to sustain his spirit. That would definitely not work. Jiang Hao did not think too much about it as he wiped the heavenly blade. At that moment, he heard a sound from outside. The spirit beast had returned late. As soon as it entered the courtyard, it saw Jiang Hao staring at it. It straightened up. My friends in the underworld are too enthusiastic. I just dropped by to check on them. Speak in human language, Jiang Hao said calmly. Xiao Li showed me fireflies, said the spirit beast. Jiang Hao looked at it. He felt a bit sentimental. He still remembered the first day when the spirit beast had arrived. He had found it in the spirit herb garden. After that, Jiang Hao decided to raise it. Hong Yuye had cut away the thing inside the spirit beast's body. That was why it was able to stay with Jiang Hao. Unknowingly, many years had passed. He was 43 years old, and the spirit beast was not young either. Take a rest, Jiang Hao said. Master, you want to guard the flower today? The spirit beast asked. Yes. Jiang Hao nodded. I just want to sit here. The spirit beast wanted to move closer, but Jiang Hao asked it to sit by the peach tree. The spirit beast glanced at the heavenly fragrance Dao flower. It felt reluctant to part with it. In the end, he hung upside down from a branch of the peach tree and fell asleep. Jiang Hao felt rather emotional. The spirit beast had so many friends in the underworld that might be able to help it whenever it needed help, so Jiang Hao did not have to worry about his pet beast. At that moment, he lowered his head and saw that ordinary weeds around him had already withered away. There was also a problem with his body. 6 to 5 days, looking up at the sky, Jiang Hao felt a little melancholic. He clearly had a bright future ahead of him, but in the end, he fell into such a predicament because of a silly mistake. If he had separated the pearls, the vortex would not have appeared. He would not be in this situation if he had been a little more careful. There was nothing he could do. Once he died, the 3 pearls would explode. At that time, it would be disastrous. It was a hopeless situation, and death was inevitable. Is there really no other way? He could not think of a way out of this. It was useless even if he asked the immortal sect for help. There was not enough time. Jiang Hao began to circulate the purple energy to buy himself some time. When the sun rose, he withdrew the purple energy and opened his eyes to look at the spirit beast. At that moment, the spirit beast realized where it had slept. Master, should we go? Asked the spirit beast as it landed on the ground. Go ahead. Tell Cheng Chou that I'm in seclusion and won't be going to the garden for a few days, Jiang Hao said. The spirit beast did not think too much about it. When it ran to the courtyard gate, it suddenly turned back. Master, do you want a mistress or not? Without waiting for Jiang Hao's response, the spirit beast left. Jiang Hao lowered his head. A mistress, he had only 2 months to live at most. Even if all the conditions were met, there was no way to find a solution. Cough, cough. He felt a little uneasy. His face turned pale. He took out 3 pearls and sealed them one by one before getting up to go upstairs to get his talisman brush. He suddenly wanted to create some talismans. However, just as he reached the door, he stopped in his tracks. He felt exhausted. The distance between his courtyard and the door to his house was so short, but he felt like he had crossed a moat. Jiang Hao smiled bitterly. He sat in front of the heavenly fragrance Dao flower and continued to circulate the purple energy. The days passed like that. 7 days felt like a long time to Jiang Hao. He had not left the courtyard for the past 7 days. The aura on his body was getting weaker and weaker by the day. Master, you look a little pale, said the spirit beast as it appeared in front of Jiang Hao. Yes. It's the consequences of seclusion, Jiang Hao said. At that moment, the Archean Abyss Dragon Pearl was on his chest. However, its power was almost exhausted and could not help him in any way. The spirit beast nodded and left without giving it much thought. Jiang Hao's face was as white as a sheet of paper. He coughed after the spirit beast left. Cough, cough. He coughed non-stop until he spat out a mouthful of blood. He collapsed to the ground. Although the purple energy was still circulating, it did not help. Maybe he was already too far gone. At that moment, his cultivation was like a piece of paper. It just kept ripping into smaller pieces. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.